The inevitable breakup finally happened behind the scenes at Red Bull. Christian Horner was removed from his role as team principal after 2 decades at the helm of the most successful team in recent times. But will this drastic decision be enough to pull Red Bull out of the decline that has been intensifying for over a year? The answer may be much more complicated than it seems, and the fallout from this departure could completely transform the Formula One landscape. To understand the magnitude of what has just unfolded, we need to go back in time and analyze not only the results, but the entire construction of an empire that is now showing signs of collapse. Christian Horner was not just the director of Red Bull, he was genuinely the architect of everything the team stood for. Since 2005, when he took charge of a team that rarely scored points and was seen only as a showcase for the energy drink brand, Horner transformed Red Bull into the dominant force we know today. Horner's legacy impresses even the most skeptical. He won 8 world titles, 4 with Sebastian Vettel during the golden age of 2010 to 2013, when Red Bull literally crushed the competition, and another 4 with Max Verstappen between 2021 and 2024, creating a new era of hegemony. 6 Constructors' Championships complete a resume that few team leaders in Formula One history have achieved. To get a sense of the magnitude, only Ron Dennis at McLaren and Jean Todt at Ferrari have reached similar heights. However, the current figures tell a completely different story, and this is where the situation becomes truly worrying. Red Bull is in 4th place in the Constructors' Championship halfway through the 2025 season. 4th place. A ranking that would have been considered catastrophic 2 years ago when the team reigned with absolute dominance. Max Verstappen, the 3-time world champion who seemed untouchable, has only managed to win 2 races so far. Comparing this to the 16 wins in 2023 or the 15 in 2022, we understand the scale of the problem. The team that completely dominated Formula One for 4 consecutive seasons is now struggling to reach the podium. The decline began in May last year, when McLaren finally managed to match Red Bull's performance in terms of aerodynamic development. And since then, the situation has only gotten worse. Ferrari is back in the fight, Mercedes has rediscovered its path to the top, and even Aston Martin has shown flashes of speed that have left Red Bull behind in several races. The collapse has not been limited to results on the track. Red Bull has lost key pieces of its technical puzzle, and that is much more serious than any bad result in a race. Adrian Newey, the aerodynamic genius behind all of the team's winning cars, moved to Aston Martin in a transfer that shocked the entire paddock. Newey wasn't just an employee, he was the mind behind Red Bull's technical success. His departure was like ripping the heart out of the team. Rob Marshall, Newey's chief engineer and right-hand man, left Red Bull for McLaren, taking with him years of knowledge about the team's technical secrets. Jonathan Wheatley, sporting director and one of the most respected voices in the paddock, has moved to Sauber. Will Courtney, the head of strategy responsible for many of Red Bull's tactical victories, is on his way to McLaren at the end of this season. It's as if Red Bull is being dismantled piece by its rivals, who are literally buying the team's DNA. And the situation doesn't end there. Max Verstappen, Red Bull's main star, is being courted by Mercedes in an increasingly intense manner. Although he has a contract until 2028, there are exit clauses that could be activated later this month. The situation is so serious that Verstappen himself no longer hides his irritation with the car's performance. In recent interviews, he has made it clear that he has no problem considering other options if Red Bull fails to deliver a competitive car. Imagine the irony. Red Bull could lose the driver who made it dominant just when it needs him most. What makes it even more dramatic is the context of Horner's departure. Last year, he was at the center of a controversy involving allegations of inappropriate behavior toward a female employee. Although he was cleared by Red Bull's internal investigation, the case created a deep rift between Horner and the Austrian side of the company, supported by Verstappen's circle. The tension behind the scenes was visible. with reports of tense meetings and heated discussions between Horner and figures such as Helmut Marko and Dietrich Mateschitz himself before his death. Laurent Mekies, who was in charge of racing bulls, now takes on the most challenging role in Formula One. The 55-year-old Frenchman is no stranger to the paddock. He spent time at Ferrari as sporting director between 2018 and 2022, experienced the pressure of working at a top team, and is well aware of the challenges of managing egos, expectations, and the Italian media. But can he turn around a situation that seems to have spiraled completely out of control? The pressure on Mekies will be enormous and immediate. Red Bull is investing in its own engine program with support from Ford for next season. It's a risky bet that adds even more uncertainty about the team's long-term competitiveness. Developing a competitive engine from scratch is no simple task, and the competition won't wait. Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren will continue to evolve their cars, while Red Bull tries to master a completely new technology. But is removing Horner really the solution? Some experts argue that Red Bull is making a historic mistake by getting rid of the man who built the team's success. Martin Brundle, former driver and Sky Sports commentator, went so far as to say that the decision is premature and that Horner deserved more time to solve the problems. Others argue that a radical change was necessary to break the downward spiral and that the team needed a new perspective. The truth is that only time will tell if this decision was the right one or if it will be another nail in the coffin of Red Bull's golden era. What we do know is that Formula One has lost one of its most striking and polarizing figures. Horner was not just a team boss, he was a unique character. His controversial statements, his rivalry with other team bosses such as Toto Wolff and Mattia Binotto, and his political skills made him one of the most interesting personalities in the paddock. Red Bull's situation is a cruel reminder of how fleeting success in Formula One can be. The team that seemed unbeatable just a few years ago now faces its biggest crisis since joining the category. And with Max Verstappen considering other options, the window for a recovery may be closing quickly. If Verstappen leaves, Red Bull would not only lose its greatest asset, but also send a clear signal to the market that not even the best driver in the world believes in the project. Red Bull's future now depends on Laurent Mekies not only stabilizing the situation, but also convincing Verstappen to stay and attracting new talent to rebuild the team. It's a Herculean task that will determine whether Red Bull returns to the top or becomes just another team in the middle of the pack. What do you think of Red Bull's decision? Was Horner really the problem, or is the team just looking for a scapegoat for its technical problems? Leave your opinion in the comments because this discussion is far from over. And if you want to better understand how these behind-the-scenes changes could affect the future of Formula One, click on the video appearing on your screen, because there I'll tell you how other teams are taking advantage of the chaos at Red Bull to steal not only employees but also drivers from the Austrian team.